I know you've said before that you want to see studies, that you weren't necessarily ready to say you were for reparations, but you'd be willing to at least look at studies. There are a lot of people who suggested that these studies have been going on for a mighty long time, and why not say now whether you would be for reparations or not?
I know it has to be done now, and you know it too. Let's not wait. Let's go do the study and decide whether there should be direct cash payment. But in the meantime, you know it has to be done. We know now. For example, if in fact the homes of African Americans that are the same housing that white Americans have were valued at the same rate, there'd be $154 billion more equity in black homes.
Yeah. Y'all getting a dose of your own medicine. Y'all really thought that Joe Biden was going to get in, he was going to change the plight of black America because the liberal media told y'all that Donald Trump was the devil. Hell, I could have told you Joe Biden is just your typical liberal because that's exactly what he is. He has not been in Congress for nearly 50 years, would not pull any type of political chicanery, especially on black people. But this is what black people get when they don't know who these candidates really are, and they're continuing to push this liberal agenda, and the liberal agenda doesn't even have you in the overall process or plan. Yeah, they'll take your votes, but besides that, once they get in office, once they get elected, they just push y'all to the side. This interview that Joe Biden did, this was conducted by Ed Gordon. He does one with Joe Biden, and on the clip, this is right before Biden becomes president. So I'm guessing that this interview took place 2 years ago. Let's fast forward to 2022, and you can take that same interview and look at the issue of reparations right now, and it's still standing at the same position as it was when this interview was conducted and took place.
I would agree that no doubt there have been a large number of whites who have posed as liberals and as friends of the Negro and who have time and again betrayed the Negro. On the other hand, I think one could point to a large number of whites who have struggled for civil rights, for equality, and have got little or nothing out of it, other than quite a few bruises.
Give me the questions that Ed Gordon was trying to ask Joe Biden, and Joe Biden did what any typical liberal Democrat does: pussyfoot and skate around the questions, not giving concise or direct answers, and basically saying to hell with your question. I'm not going to answer it the way you want me to. I'm not going to give you an answer at all. Matter of fact, I'm gonna act like I ain't even hear the question. So this issue of reparations, right? And don't get it twisted. Do I truly believe that our people deserve some form of reparations? Absolutely. We've given our blood, sweat, and tears over 300 years of slave labor here in this country. You can add an extra 100, 150 to that with Jim Crow and all that, right? But here's the thing. This United States government is not going to give black people reparations like you think they would. If the government truly wanted to atone for the heinous crimes that they themselves authorized, remember, before the United States became the United States, we were owned by Great Britain. And then once America gained its independence from Great Britain, every state in the United States up to 1790 owned slaves. After 1790, mainly the southern states owned slaves. During the time of the Civil War, 15 states out of 33, 34, 35 states in the Union owned slaves. So the United States government is complicit not only in the slave trade, not only in the institution of slavery, but depriving black people of any clear economic advantages that we can have in this country. You gotta remember, we don't own any industries, we don't own any institutions, we don't own any infrastructure. But Joe Biden just skates around these questions simply because he knows, as well as the other liberals know, they're not gonna give you any form of reparations. Black people, you have to ask yourself, name some of the things Joe Biden has done for black folk since he got in office. Okay, he gave you Juneteenth as a national holiday. Whoop-de-fucking-do. You get a day off just so you can celebrate when slavery was officially over. That really meant the end of the Civil War, right? And then they passed the anti-lynching bill, which makes lynching a federal crime. Do you truly believe that these redneck crackers ain't gonna stop lynching niggas? Or are you being led to these symbolic victories that really don't mean nothing? Let me get this straight too. Oh, a black woman was elected as vice president, but she ain't did a damn thing on behalf of black people and close to the 18 months they've been in office.
Look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies. When you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit.
But if you look at your typical liberal, the vice president and this Supreme Court justice nominee, they're divestors. They're married to white men. So there goes your black progress for you. But what has Biden done for other people when he got in office? He quickly signed the Stop Asian Hate bill that make committed crimes or hate crimes against Asians a federal offense. What else has he done? Oh, he stopped the war in Afghanistan, but he allowed over 100,000 Afghan refugees to be brought up here in America at your taxpaying expense. And let's not forget about the situation in the Ukraine. The same situation in the Ukraine that y'all think that we should be in uproar about, right? Didn't he send the refugees or the people of the Ukraine upwards of $13 billion? But they can't muster up at least 14 to 15 trillion for you to get your reparations, for you to get your financial payment or land leverage. Joe Biden, just like any typical liberal, just like any conservative for that matter, because let's not get this twisted. Yeah, I'm going hard on the Democrats in this regard, but conservatives ain't no fucking different. Only difference is they'll tell you outright they ain't doing nothing for you. Liberals, they just like how Malcolm pointed it out 60 years ago. They play a political con game on you. They try to make it seem as though they're on the same issue with you for reparations, but they're just talking. There's no action put behind their plan into ensuring that you get some form of reparations.
Whenever it takes a stoppage of something that's going to affect the white man, you find the white liberal absent. But when it involves something that primarily will affect the best interests of black people, and black people only, then that white liberal is present. If he was interested in black people, he would prepare a black man with the type of knowledge and understanding of the labor troubles involving black people that would enable a black man to sit in the same position.
The government will never atone for its original sin, because this country itself is going to destroy from within. It already is. Look at what's been happening since this man has been in office. In this interview, Joe Biden talked about, yeah, we need to get a study done right away on how we're going to get these cash payments to black folks, right? But notice, he don't even have a clear-cut plan on how they're going to not only conduct the study, because guess what? HR 40 is just a study on reparations. They know and we know that we deserve reparations. But you have to ask yourself, how willing is this government and this American system, this racist system that has been put in place since the foundation of this country? You have to ask yourself, are they truly intending on giving you something that they will never give their black people? This American system still view you as an enemy. Its judicial system looks at you as public enemy number one. The private prison, industrial complex, look at you as a top commodity. They will allow you to excel in sports and entertainment. But who ultimately controls that? Who ultimately reaps the highest rewards for that? They do, not you. And we all know in the concept of education, housing, finance, employment, you'll always be at the bottom according to them. So this issue of reparations, they're basically skating around it. Why is that? They do not intend on giving you reparations at all.
I'm not sure what your answer is to the reparations question.
If in fact there are ways in which to get direct payments for reparations, I want to see it. But why are we waiting around for the study? We can deal with it.
Well, they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have to wait around
No, they're
for
not
the study. That's
exclusive.
the point.
No, but they look, they're not mutually exclusive. But I can't believe that whatever it is, the African American community would not support what I'm talking about.
If I got my 40 acres, right, I just need the machinery and the tools to build my own house, to fertilize my own land, to be able to build what it is I want to build on it. That's another reason why these liberals pussyfoot or skate around the whole issue of reparations. Let's say they give us 40 acres in the mule, right, for our compensation for reparations. 40 acres times, let's say 40 million black folk, right? 40 times 40 million. That's roughly over between 1.6 to 1.7 billion acres of land in this country. America itself is close to 2 billion acres of land. So America will basically have to give you the whole country. And I'm telling you right now, he who takes over the land and takes it by force, he will never give it to you in time. Want to surrender their power in that capacity. If I was in power, if I had control of this land, I would never give my enemy any passage of rights to think that they can seize or be able to obtain any sizable amounts of land in a country that I own, in a country that I control. So the areas of housing, this is what these liberals will do. They'll say they'll want to give it to you, right? But deep down inside, they still want to own and control it, because that's the whole game. This is the whole idea of them pushing this whole concept of reparations in your face. They want to make it seem as though they'll give it to you, only to fully control it once they give it to you in the end. Which is why, if you're going to get it, I'm telling you, for me, if they give me reparations tomorrow, boy, my black ass will be out of the United States of America. I will be in Ghana within the next year. I won't spend a dime. I'll be like,
oh snap, gave me $500 million.
But I digress. This country ain't giving you no direct payments, man. If they truly wanted to give black people financial compensation for reparations, they would have done it at least 30 years ago. Bill Clinton was your best chance of getting reparations. And even he wouldn't do it, while pretending that he was a friend and ally of black folks. Biden is a byproduct of the good old boy system that has been in place in this country since its inception. Since 1776, the leaders, white men, have formulated a plan to maintain their system and to always keep hold of their power while keeping black folk at the bottom, while giving them no power. After all, you are a prisoner of war. This is how your enemy looks at you. This is how Joe Biden views you. I mean, just look at how he conducts interviews with black people. Man, this dude be getting angry, upset, talking sideways, talking sassy like a female, have an attitude with you, and all you can do is just take it. Why? Because he's the president.
If in fact a calculation comes to you that you are satisfied with, would you then say, I'm for reparations?
The answer is it would depend on what it was, and will it include Native Americans as well?
And lastly, look what he says at the end. This fool had the audacity to say that only way I'm giving you Negroes any reparation financial compensation is that you gotta include Native Americans in the deal. So for all you Aboriginal, ADOS, FDA, cock-sucking motherfuckers, there go yo, I'm a Native American plan right out the window. You really thought that if you call yourself Aboriginal that we were in this land first, that this is ours, this is our home, that they was just gonna give it to you just like that? Ha! Got another thing coming, man. I'm telling y'all straight up, if this government even seriously gives black people anything, they're going to find a way to include other races of people or other segments of people in your Title IX. That included all women. Affirmative action. That ultimately included white women. They want to talk bad about you having welfare, but who are the major recipients of welfare? White people, mainly white women. Even crime. They'll say you commit the most crimes, which is a bold-faced lie. But white folks who are 4 times to 5 times more the population than you in this country commit crimes at the same amount of pace as you do. But when it comes to giving you a check, oh, trust and believe. You're going to have to make sure you include some Native Americans. And why do they need to be included in reparations? The Dawes Law and all those times they were put on those reservations, that was their reparations payout. To this day, if they live on a reservation, they don't pay taxes. They don't pay federal tax, state tax, none of that. They're tax exempt. So you mean to tell me a segment of people that don't even pay taxes, that don't even have to pay the lion's share, keeping the infrastructure in this country intact, you want to include them in some shit that our people were forced in against their own will? You mean tell me they get included in the plan? But y'all Aboriginal, right? In conclusion, Joe Biden is talking out the side of his lip. He's doing what any liberal does. They talk a good game, but in the final conclusion, they're not gonna do anything. You've seen it with Black Lives Matter. You've seen all these protests. All these liberals come to these cities. They come and riot, protest, burn shit up, leave those areas damaged. The reputation is so severe that when it's time to clean up the mess that they made, they're nowhere to be found. They'll tell you no justice, no peace. They'll tell you to defund the police. But guess what? They'll be the main ones call the police against you when they feel threatened. This is why the liberal is the biggest hypocrite. Liberals are real hypocrites because they have no set agenda for you. All they want is just your votes. All they want is your alliance or allegiance when they want to test some shit up, or when they want to set an agenda that's going to make society backwards. But in terms of you gaining reparations, they have no answer for you. They're not going to abide by that. And Joe Biden is proof that while he continues to try to figure out these rising gas prices and inflation, which is ultimately going to lead to a recession, and by 2024, he still ain't gonna do nothing for black folks. Why? He never intended on doing nothing for y'all anyway. I'm out.
I'm suspicious of whites who join Negroes and always have to be in the lead, who always have to be the head, who always have to be at the top in Negro organizations. Those whites who really have the interest of blacks at heart, let them give some advice to some Negroes and stand on the sideline. But don't join the organization and then get at the head of it and pose as a friend of Negroes.